Hello everyone. Welcome to our second week here for the build course. Now during the first week you had the discussion board and the lab activities kind of related to communication, and in the case for the lab activity you created your first video. So one of the things that we're going to be kind of moving towards for this next week is looking at that content you just created and converting it to be accessible at kind of a very low bar, and just getting the closed captions associated to that video. So in Module 2, you're going to go through and learn a lot about accessibility. Maybe you know some of this information already. It's possible you have not used these accessibility checkers, and so it gives you information about how to check your documents for accessibility. One of the things to be aware of is even when you finish with this module, there's probably a lot more to the accessibility needs than is what is addressed inside of the content. So the advice I have for faculty that ever have a question about is my content accessible, is there something else I should be doing, is going down and meeting with the ADR folks at West Campus, or maybe you have one that comes to your campus, and talking about, this is what I continuously reuse every semester. It's this handout that I posted in discussion board, or maybe had posted in my PIMA or somewhere else in D2L. And you just want to kind of make sure that if you ever get the letter of needing it to be converted, that it's already set up and ready to go for the students. And they'll be glad to take a look at it and talk about what they notice in the document, maybe what's missing, and try to give you strategies for writing those electronic documents. So part of what this module is not just showing you how, but making you aware of what the accessibility needs are. Now, thinking back what happened with our first week here, we had a lot of great ideas that were shared in the discussion boards, where we're talking about the 4 types of learners and our communication plans. Now, some of that is related directly to teaching the class, and some of it is also kind of related to how you're setting the course up. So you're thinking of the building and designing aspect of it. One thing that you're looking at with the idea of engagement is some of the engagement is actually that on-time teaching and participation of the instructor. But you can also think of the communication as happening up front in the general design of the class. Maybe you design, in the case for D2L, you use these things called intelligent agents to send out messages when an event has occurred. So maybe it's after the second week of the class, maybe it's after the first quiz scores have been entered, or maybe it's if they haven't logged in after a period of time. These intelligent agents can also be part of that communication plan of reaching out to students at certain milestones. So I'm going to share some links and information for intelligent agents. It's not actually part of the course, but there is training that's typically offered to talk about intelligent agents by the CLT instructional team. You can play around with it in your lab course, and that's fine. Just try not to, as you use your build lab course for experimentation, try to make it easier for us to kind of make sure you're actually doing the lab activities so we can get you certified in the build course. There were also some strategies in regards to teaching that make sense from a design point of view, but you want to kind of keep back in mind the accessibility component. And I think Tim had a great way to write his post that he described as how he's writing announcements for his students and some other outreach things that he's doing before the classes go live. So if you haven't had a chance, I believe it just came up last night. Sorry to pick on you here, Tim, but I thought you had some interesting points to share here, so I just wanted to kind of highlight. And I see this with some other instructors as well, is with that announcement area in the course. So I'm just going to kind of go back to that home page. My computer will let me here. There we go. One of the things with that announcements region, the news area on the home page for D2L, is it's not always noticeable when a new announcement is posted. And so I will see instructors will sometimes, you can't control this color, but you can control the color that appears on the text of the body of the message. They'll do something similar to what Tim is describing here, is in using alternating colors in that announcements. That way it pops out that this is new for this week with that color differentiation. The one thing you want to be aware of, though, is don't rely just on the colors, but using like headers here instead of number 1 and coloring it, using a header so it's actually a bigger font and maybe calling it like week 3 or module 3 or something like that to call it out on the screen for the user when they log in. Because if your announcement's buried too low, like if you have other stuff above announcements on your home page, if you have other widgets up here, they may not even see the announcements region. And so you're relying on them to just see these update alerts. And they may be getting a lot of update alerts depending on the other courses they're in. So they may just tune it out already when this update alerts, the red icon appears. They may be tuning that out. So you want to pull their eye to the announcements. And then other people were coming in going, well, should I email them or not with the email announcement? And I think the best advice would be to, when you post the announcement, if you don't want to post the entire announcement in the email, that's fine, because you want to drive them back to looking at that location. Just send an email to the class like, I just posted a new announcement. Go take a look at it. And maybe there's something short and small that you want to share from it that was very important that you want them to be aware of. Can be in that email, but leaving the announcement for the bigger chunk of material for them to read. So going back to our build course here, if you haven't had a chance to complete that first lab activity, because I know last week was our start of our 14-week courses. Unless I got my weeks wrong, I'm pretty sure it was last week. And be aware that you can still do that. Just let us know, myself or Chris Hauser, that you're going to be posting it late, and it will go in as soon as it's done. If you let us know, we could go in and just update the grades for that assignment. The plan is now for us for late work to always dive into people's lab courses looking for things. When it's late, reach out to us that you're working on it and that it's going to be submitted, and we can always come back and take a look at it. The only caveat for lateness is at the very end of the 4 weeks, it's kind of cut off where we can't continue to allow the late work to come in a week or 2 weeks after that, because we have other things that we're moving on to as far as our job duties here for PIMA. So we kind of got some time for this course, and then we're going to move on to something new, and we can't continue to kind of have it incomplete floating out there for many weeks after the course ends. Okay, so this week, like I mentioned, is the accessibility module. There's a lot of reading involved with this one. I just wanted to point out on the lab activity what the expectations were. There are 2 new things you have to do in your lab course. The first one is you need to, our activity 1 is create an accessible announcement. And so this is where you're going to try to find content you think is accessible. You're going to post up an announcement. So we're going to take a quick look at it and try to determine whether or not you met that or did not. I would highly recommend you try finding a video that you think is accessible. And keep in mind that the automatic closed captioning that's on the video is not what we're looking for. For closed caption to be considered accessible, sorry for that pause there. In that first activity, so we're looking for an accessible video, you actually have to find if the closed captions are not automatic to meet that need. If you want to find some other content to post it, maybe something you created, that is fine as well. Post that up into the announcement region. Just remember to also do a little bit of a description about it, like you would have done if you're creating this content for your actual course. Now we're posting it in an announcement area, but you can consider this is the same thing that you're going to be doing if you're creating your own file and inserting these videos or this PowerPoint or table into that module file as well. The second one is going back to Module 1's activity, the video that you created, and either adding the captions into it or creating a transcript and sharing the transcript as well with the video itself. If you hosted that video up on YouTube, make sure you kind of take a look at the tutorial about creating subtitles and closed captions. It's not that bad. It automatically creates the automatic one that you can go in and edit. And what makes the kind of accessibility for captions met is that you're making sure that the grammar, the punctuation, capitalization is all in that transcript. And that's the reason the auto caption, even if it's 100% correct, it doesn't meet the requirement because it doesn't include the punctuation portion that differentiates the meaning in the words when it's just read out loud without any of the pauses from the actual speaker. So just kind of want to make you aware of that for those two pieces. So in addition, you're going to have a discussion forum for Module 2 that's talking about accessibility. There has been some activity in there already. And so in this one, what I found in the past is that the, say, students, but fellow instructors, faculty members here, the interaction is kind of where you get a lot of information about what people have gone through and how they're meeting the accessibilities at the college and what type of resources we have to share for meeting the needs of our students. So make sure you kind of get started in early here. Again, with the discussions, most of this is meant to be the interaction of the course with your classmates to share ideas. I always find that every semester that I've taught the build course, this is going on my third semester now, I'm learning from you as well as you learning from me in my experiences of teaching online and building courses to be offered online. I've also built them for our hybrid, so I'm able to share that experience as well. So I look forward to seeing you on the discussions, and hopefully if you run into an issue, you realize you can reach out to me or Chris, and we'll be happy to help you kind of get through the activities needed for this next module.